Where's that bloody lighter? Wow, only 2 cars in the scrapyard, people. That's when you know you spent $500 plus an extra few K. Looking for absolute crap. Welcome back, Wolf. Hello. Can you hear? What do you mean no sound through your game? Have you set up the default audio devices again? Remember now you've got that second monitor. It's the same way I showed you last time. Right click on the speaker type of thingy, the bottom right corner side. Somewhere. Did you get it working? Check the in-game audio settings to see if it allows you to choose a default device. I think most of them do nowadays. Now watch, I'm probably gonna get a message saying your stream has been muted partially because of the in-game music. Okay, so let's get the weld over first after removing all these shitty parts. I can hear you.
Yeah, my
Can you
stream
hear
was
me?
muted this whole freaking time. There we go, got sound now.
You
Sorry,
forgot
people.
something again.
I keep forgetting my mic is muted on my stream. Such a blunt person.
Okay.
Don't laugh at me. Rez, Sharon's laughing at me. Don't call yourself blunt. Yeah, half blonde at the moment, guys.
Half blonde, yeah?
Yeah.
I was gonna make a comment. Wow, my sensitivity is like really rough. Okay, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. No front windshield. Nope. Okay. Strip this thing down to its bones. Pop that bloody bearing out.
Please, the books.
Holmes.
Really? And the hub, just, and the hub just floats there.
Holmes, will you stop that?
I can hear you.
No, no, no. I mean on my stream.
Can you hear
Stop,
me?
Holmes.
Is that you, Watson?
Yes,
You're
of
doing
course it
weird
is. And
Arabic
you
next.
almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded.
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it
I
this
want to know
time?
who designed this
He can
bloody
see
car.
me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr.
Since I'm in
Holmes.
the game,
A sailor,
I
most
can't
probably.
move my mouse to the other.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr.
Why does it
Holmes, how
look like
could you?
this
It's the
front
only exercise
subframe is
I've had all
upside
week.
down?
A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning.
Everything is
I couldn't think of a
misplaced.
better use for it. I missed.
Give it.
I may have
I've
to go out and
Pete,
edit all of this.
I'm sorry, guys. I had to skip that. That was gonna take too long.
What's up?
I can't get to my other screen.
You can't get
While
onto
you're
your
in
other
the game.
screen.
Whilst I'm in the game.
That's because your game is not windowed.
Right. Give me a sec.
If your game's not windowed, it won't allow you to do anything.
I don't even think I can. Right.
I can barely hear you now. You were so loud
No, I
earlier
did
on.
that on purpose.
There
I
you go.
can't make it windowed. Yeah, well.
As realistic as this game can be, like parts wise and stuff, with the add-on cars and everything, the stuff is always out of place. And the drive system is completely different. It's not meant to be a solid rear diff and suspension combo. You doing? You can't pull that out without.
Where is.
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess! You go along to Peter Carroll's house. Mrs. Hudson and I will take care of the mess you've made here.
I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here.
What a terrible mess. Yeah, I know, right?
This is where I keep my post.
Okay.
This is where I keep my post.
What do you want me to do? You want to make it dressed? You want fucking. You can.
My analysis table. It
Terrible
is
guidance
useful for
skills.
my work.
Yes, yes, go along. Yes. I finished. No, come on, really? Like, I really wanted to see that. What do you mean? Leave where? It won't let me leave. Oh, what is that?
A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be.
But, what?
I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here.
Oh, you won't let me get this. Come on. I'm not a bear. Run naked in the street. No, that is not an option here, apparently.
Repair desk.
Do you want to play Dodgeball? It is. What? Staring at them. Not my fault. Select a suit to wear using your personal wardrobe and join illustrated. Oh, yeah, I really don't get what is going on here. Let me.
Oh, God, gone.
My archive. I can always consult with it if needed.
What's in here? Did I actually find my own?
Nine
Yes.
four.
Yes. Hold for F. No. No. I'm not doing that. Did it say a certain suit I was supposed to wear? I didn't read. I have no idea what I'm. Okay, well, so not like this then. Baby street. No. Thank you. By the way, this game is for free if you want it. And did you by any chance get kicked off of COD while you were playing? Because that's what happened to us.
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
Come on. I don't.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to swap it over for an N94.
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
Concentrate your attention and find indeed.
These footprints appear to be quite large.
Quite large people.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Tons of the standard.
Mr. Holmes?
So how are you faring on the game so far?
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body?
Okay.
It's sacrilegious to leave him here.
Weird
like
for
this.
getting there, yeah?
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Okay, so he's drunk.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and... oh dear.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Just in
Oh,
case.
no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually, whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing
Should have
out.
enough pistons in that.
Wait, what am I doing with the fish? This is awkward. Why are you making me do this? Why are you making me do this?
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
For one thing I always forget. An oil filter.
Never mind.
What?
Huh?
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Do I not have a performance rated price income for
With
the hot
Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
Dang it. Oh, I have to keep doing this till I select the right
You have
version.
indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you.
You're doing
soon.
like a whole
Yes.
detective move over there.
Life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different,
That must be
wasn't
awkward.
he, when you first met him upon your return
What?
from Plymouth?
Yes,
That
Mr.
must be
Holmes.
weird.
Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
Ah! I bet it's the last one. Or the one in between.
You have indeed suffered a great loss. He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
Thought so.
You have indeed suffered a great loss.
I
He
like
was
how they
different,
made this so
wasn't
that the
he,
freaking
when you
rod
first
goes
met
right
him
through the
upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
Sorry, give me a second, guys.
Never mind. You have... He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
How extraordinary. Something else I should be doing?
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
Meow.
Meow. My name's Kermit. Kermit the Frog.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything.
Zullen we kijken bij jou?
The door is locked.
I
Wait
believe
just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll...
Oh, je
open
broer.
it.
Dead,
I
yeah?
locked it
Yeah,
yesterday
dead.
to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Same thing.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello, hello, hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
Hello,
It seems to me
hello.
that someone has tried to force it. Mr. Holmes.
Let me see. These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job.
Three
This lock is
pointer
not a difficult
propeller on one side.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool.
Harris, come on, my boy. You need to go to sleep.
What a terrible way to die. Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8. Old navigation instruments. Nothing interesting. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book. A box or a small chest, perhaps.
Don't know why I just went back there. But
The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work. The initials...
Great. Bushes. I ran out of bushes.
This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture.
Who knows where that exhaust is leading?
Yes, this is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors. Someone drank from this glass recently. Someone drank from this glass recently. Rum, a sailor's drink. It seems that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death. The Sea Unicorn. She was the ship that Peter Carey commanded. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense.
Rented discs.
Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. This wooden handle is plain and solid. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed. JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook. The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey. These abbreviations mean something, but what? Someone was here yesterday. They attempted
I
to
have a
force
feeling
the
it would
door
be
to
A.
gain entry.
Huh? What?
No, I'm talking to myself as we.
Hammerfest.
Mr. Holmes? Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky
And why is that?
because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oh, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us.
We need to find a good place for an ambush. Perhaps behind Carey's cabin, near the window.
This looks like the perfect hiding place.
Did you hear that? There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there.
I'm just close to it.
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey. I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocent? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
No, but yes, it's just that I couldn't...
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard. Tomorrow, I'll see that you're put in front of the judge.
What? But you can't. I'm not... It's a terrible mistake.
Enough. You can explain all of that to the judge. You're coming with me to the yard.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that your coming here was unnecessary. All the same, I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Holmes.
You are welcome, Inspector. But please don't be too hard on our young fellow. I would like to question him tomorrow morning.
Mr. Holmes?
I haven't found it, Wolf.
Good morning, Mr. Holmes.
I'm getting
Can I help
confused
you?
there.
Good morning, Constable. I would like to speak to the fellow who was arrested at Woodman's Lee last night.
Ah, the young man. He's waiting in the interrogation room. You can go straight
I don't know
through.
why
He's
you can
belonging to
stream
holding the
COD
evidence room.
perfectly fine. Mine
Thank
doesn't
you.
seem to want to work right. Probably messed something up somewhere along the line.
Mr. Holmes?
These are the suspect's belongings. The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's
I wish I
cabin
could edit
floor.
parts on this game, man.
These abbreviations
And I can
mean
edit
something.
like
What?
car bits and stuff. Some parts really need some adjusting somewhere along the line, like especially these freaking suspension bits. I need to move over to the inner sides a bit more.
And partner, 1883. To my friend, from R. Dawson. Dawson. I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive.
So level
holds the
195 by
answer.
35, 18s.
A handkerchief with the
195 by
initials
35,
JAN.
18s.
A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. Locked. Locked. Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But where did you find it? I did not know... I thought I'd lost it at the hotel.
What do these abbreviations mean?
Oh, no. I beg you, I can't. If I told you, it would only make things worse.
But I will find out
Is that mommy?
eventually, Mr. Nelligan.
Checks you out now.
The sea knife was found near Carey's body. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, did Mr. Carey try to defend himself or to attack you with it?
I don't know. I didn't kill anyone.
The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner.
Separate stuff from the stock alloys. See if there's any more parts that can be repaired. Yes. And one is completely screwed.
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
That might stick out
Oh,
a
but-
bit too much.
But how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing
Stuff
is
with the
made of an
ET on
expensive
35.
fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, I should
It
have
all
stuck with
happened
the ET on
exactly
30.
as you say.
Okay then.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Please, let me go. I'm innocent.
a lot of this.
I need to stage a reconstruction. I'm sure that Watson would be happy to oblige.
I mean, how the hell do you design a car with this type of subframe? I have no words right now.
Mr. Holmes?
Steady.
Locked.
Mr. Holmes? At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, if that was done there, it would make a bit more sense.
Mr. Holmes?
Right now, what is this bloody bolting to? She messed up. And where is this going? It's lower than the wheel.
I'm back up.
A map of London and the...
At your service, Mr.
Yeah.
Holmes.
I'm bloody purchasing the wrong bloody parts again.
These are the suspect's belongings. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. These abbreviations mean something, but what? These abbreviations mean something, but what?
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong. What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Yes. What's supposed to do?
That's really amazing. Power steering, fucking rack running right through the starter motor and block through the gearbox. Really need to meet the person who designed this. And the motor's not central either.
ready for the experiment.
I just think your mic is being kind of static again.
Mine.
Mm.
Hardly doubting that. It's not been static at all for like how long
Listen
already?
on my headset and you'll find out. Yes, mine.
Nah.
No, I think it might be mine for some reason. So every time I stop talking.
Weird.
So maybe the button stop. Right, so where am I supposed to...
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Where am I supposed to go?
Oh my god, man. What's up, Wolf?
Shit's getting confusing.
Ah, you don't have the patience for that type of game, man.
Mm-mm.
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a board. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
I think my mic is trying to go.
Well, you need a headset. Did we buy you one already, though?
No?
Hmm. I guess we will be busy hunting for
The ship's
the usual
logs
then.
of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878. Dundee. It's a whaling map.
Where in the flying but really?
A spot of whaling, Watson. Would you care to take part?
Are you serious?
No. But we do need to clarify what happened on the night of Black Peter's murder.
A reenactment, then? Is something bothering you?
The sailor's knife, Watson. Why was it on the floor?
Peter Carey attempted to defend himself?
It is possible. But if that is the case, then it alters many things.
I don't quite follow you. Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before, on the...
No.
Thank goodness for that.
Put
I
the
wish
front
to
bumper
impale
on this
one
car,
with a
right?
harpoon.
Wonderful.
And you
Watson,
know where it
let us
sits?
pay a visit to
Right.
And the harpoon?
Like 5
one of the
foot away
harpoons
from
on
the
the
freaking
wall.
car. Not helpful at all.
I need some coffee.
I need coke.
Well,
And it's
here
done with
we
the
are
back
in
bumper as
preparation
well.
room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment.
Where on earth
The
is this back bumper
challenge
now?
of lancing a pig's carcass with a heavy harpoon.
A little
And
experiment.
the headlights are off
Stand
position
aside,
as well.
Watson. This might be
What the
dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise. Yet.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark
Wow.
in order to perform the most reliable test.
Something very unexpected.
The harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient strength to pierce it straight through.
Let's take a look and see if the original bits actually sit here. Oh, that sits where it's supposed to.
Holmes, you should try to aim better and throw as hard as you can.
So why doesn't the B bumper ones work correctly?
Oops.
The harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient strength to pierce it straight through.
Wow, the back bumper sitting in the middle of the car.
Holmes, you
what
should
have
try
you
to
done?
aim better and throw as hard as you can.
Because I wanted to.
The harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient strength to pierce it straight through.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional
That
strength
was
and
gonna come out
training
a bit
or
more.
diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes.
Are
Let
we
us leave
doing-
now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
What the?
What am I doing?
No. No, for Pete's sake.
such a thing? Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
Almost enough, but not enough. So about 315 to maybe 320, 25 width would be just that.
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect. Good gracious, you caught someone. At least
Doing
now
nothing
you have
in
a
this
suspect.
one.
Brave Toby. The
So it
best
should
nose
be
in the
here.
British Empire.
Try that out.
These are the suspect's belongings. These abbreviations.
Hmm?
Locked.
Don't understand.
72,268 value. Everything's 100% and nothing missing.
Mr. Holmes?
What am I doing? What am
Have the girls had supper yet? Yes, no, yes,
I
no.
don't know. Ask Rick.
Girls not had supper yet, Rick.
The ship's logs
No.
of the sea
Okay. I will have to get them some grub.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
I don't understand what the hell I'm supposed to do now.
Careful, she might bite you.
Oh, I think I'm gonna take
You're
a
tired.
break for a bit. I haven't been streaming that long with this game, but this isn't my type of game. I don't have the patience for this. I don't even know why.
Then
I thought
why
I'd give
did
it
you
a try.
go into
Because I thought I'd give it a try.
it? Is it seriously that bad?
You might like it, but I just don't have the patience. I prefer my fast-paced, not guessing games.
I am not into guessing games. Do not let me play this nonsense. And I shall just do what I can to replace a few bits here and there. All the easy, quick stuff. Why is there a break server? Yeah, never mind. Yeah, why is there a break server and ABS? And it's on the wrong side as well. ABS should be on the right side near the server.
Alright, people. I think I'm gonna end my stream now. I'll probably be back on with some COD instead of this.
Yay for God!
Excuse me.
Yay for God!
See you